Hey everybody, welcome to episode 1 of Everyone Talks podcast. A podcast.
A podcast.
I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go. We are super excited to share what we have.
Yes.
Our opinions, our thoughts.
Yes.
On some really crazy scandals that have come back into the light. And we want to talk about it.
Yes.
What are we going to talk about?
2 things. 1, Hillsong Documentary. If you haven't watched it, go watch it because we're going to talk about it. Number 2, the Theranos documentary and show that we are also watching. If you haven't watched it, go watch it.
Go watch it. It honestly really gave me perspective on what happens when leaders of incredible organizations keep dirty secrets.
Yes.
That affect everybody.
Yes.
And they pretend like nothing's wrong.
Yes.
So, spoiler alerts. We're totally going to talk about it. And so I think we're going to jump into the first one, which is
Hillsong. Yes.
So what do you think about watching the documentary?
It's pretty crazy. Because like you're saying, it's like, even though they're surrounded by so many people that they could trust and like talk to about their issues and their problems, or if they have a mentor, they don't. And
that's sad.
Yeah.
What I got from the first, how many episodes were there?
3. Yes.
So the first one covered the organization as a whole. Mm-hmm. The second one dove into
the pastor of the New York campus.
The New York campus. And if you haven't watched, go watch so you know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
And then the third one dove into the main.
The person who started it.
Yes. And
so Brian Houston's father. It's so sad.
It is sad.
And especially
okay.
when you have kids. It's even more sad.
Yeah, so you need to go watch it because, again, we don't want to...
There's probably going to be some spoilers.
Right. We don't want to give away everything. But we do want to give away enough.
Yeah, to talk about.
To talk about it.
Yes.
So I was blown away in the first episode by certain language that was used. Mm-hmm. And the language to me that really left me feeling uncomfortable was when they said that they use people at church as free labor. Mm-hmm. And people were essentially just used to move the organization forward. Like we're both believers. We both believe in God and believe in Jesus. And to me, that was just so hard to hear because we never think that when we want someone to serve or to do something for the church,
it's like we're expecting it to be free.
Yeah, like we don't. We don't want people to do that because it's a job.
It's not a job. That's what I was gonna say. In the Bible, like we're called to serve.
See, I view it as it's an opportunity for life change.
But that too. But it's both.
But these people had the experience that it was
free, that I should be paid for this.
That, and they were abused.
Yeah.
For free labor.
In a way, they probably were.
That's
where you create boundaries.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
You create boundaries, and you need boundaries. Be like, okay, if I love this thing, I'm gonna do it. But if I feel like if you start feeling that way, then you need to be like, I need to step back just a little bit because, you still have things going on outside.
Right.
Unless, like, you're devoting your life, like you did. Like, you devoted your life to the church, which is, like, you quit your job, and that's, like, this is my main focus.
Backstory.
But if it's not your main focus.
Right, backstory. When we met, this is my wife. I don't think I said that. MacKenzi's my wife.
It's probably obvious.
But when we met, our dog's growling. It's great.
For no reason.
It's okay. We're good. When we met, my backstory is that I was working at the church, only working at the church didn't have a car, wasn't making any money. Mm-hmm. And the reason I commended myself to do that was because I believed in the mission of the church.
Yeah.
And I was experiencing life change. For the most part, most people don't give up working anywhere to serve at a church or anything like that. So,
which is fine.
Well, I was going to say the work you do at a job, you get paid for.
Yeah.
Because there's value there.
Mm-hmm.
See, it was opposite. I was giving up my life and my time because I was investing in what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And so the reason I think people got burned probably was because it was just this like, they took advantage of me. Mm-hmm. And maybe, honestly, I don't know. The situation is so different, so I don't really want to compare them. But
no, I'm just saying if that's what you choose to do, that's fine. But like,
right, which I chose to do.
Exactly.
That's what I wanted to get
That's
across.
why it's like you didn't think of, oh, like they're using me because you chose that.
Right.
That's why I'm saying boundaries.
Well, that's a really good thought because that leads me to think like most churches kind of pressure people.
100%. It's
like,
because people.
Okay, keep going.
My opinion is a lot of churches are so, because they have started doing that, they lose people because they do that, and then more people come, and they feel like there's a pressure there. It's because that church needs people.
Mm.
It's like
an organization.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So
it's like a never-ending cycle.
Right. I was gonna say
people come and they feel used and they feel like I'm giving all my time to this and I'm not getting anything out of it.
Right.
Because they don't have boundaries. Mm. Then they're like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Mm. Then they leave, and then new people come in, and it's like a constant cycle. Not every church.
Well, here's what's crazy, okay? That was just episode 1. Episode 2 touched on and you're talking on boundaries. I would say, like, someone doesn't have boundaries with the church, but also because we understand that you have to see it from a perspective of where are you at in your life at that moment and create boundaries in that place because life is ever changing and we're constantly adapting. Yeah. And that was just episode 1, but episode 2 was about creating boundaries in your personal life with relationships. Mm-hmm. And there was a pastor who failed and cheated on his wife, scandalous, and didn't have boundaries and didn't have accountability and just failed miserably. Step 3 is, or not step 3, but episode 3. We're figuring this out as we go. Episode 3 was about not having boundaries in your organization and overprotecting people when you shouldn't. Mm-hmm. Because consequences are necessary for people.
Definitely. I don't want to say especially in churches, but kinda.
I was going to say for growth. Because I think there are times where we give grace and give mercy and show kindness, but a lot of the time...
That's because I think in those areas we do that is because the people are really like, I'm really trying to get better. But this person obviously wasn't trying to get better.
Well, I was going to say, and no one was helping him get better. They were just covering it up. There was a lot of scandals in episode 3. It was like, just put it on,
we're just going to keep putting it under the rug.
That's the
until
word.
There's a big
thing
in the middle of the rug.
And they kept talking about it. They kept talking about that when you're an organization and you keep shoving things under the rug, they will eventually implode.
Yes.
I think there's a scripture for that, and it says, everything will come to light. Mm-hmm. Every dirty deed done in the dark will come to light. I think that's what it is. And I believe that's true, which is why we try to walk with as much accountability as possible, because there's a lot of I have a lot of failures, and if it wasn't for people showing me grace, mercy, and kindness, I wouldn't be here today. Yeah. But this was completely different. This was like the equivalent of people saying, "Hey, we know you failed, and we want to help you keep failing and keep it a secret."
Yeah, and not do anything about it. Like, but if then you watch the 3rd episode, okay? Yeah. And then it's like, it makes sense Because it always starts with the leader.
That's a great segue.
Whatever the leader does, eventually, whether they're still alive or not, and nothing changes, it's always a never-ending cycle.
Right.
If nothing changes, it's going to stay the same, no matter if it's a different person or not.
Right. I agree.
Right.
I agree. That there's so much power in that, and I think how I model my life and how you model your life affects everybody around you.
Exactly.
And I don't think there's a self-awareness I don't think enough people have enough self-awareness to recognize that.
Yeah.
As like the case of the CEO of Theranos, who's currently in court.
Yes.
For not having self-awareness. And
she's kind of freaky.
And for also not having boundaries and for not doing things right. Her personally, I think she willingly chose to make bad decisions.
Yeah, because she was making boatloads of money.
It only benefited herself.
Yes.
Which also we haven't watched the documentary.
Well, we started it. We just haven't finished it.
But we were watching
the show, The Dropout.
Which was called The Dropout.
Yes.
Great show.
Yeah. Amazing actors and actresses.
Yes.
Literally the best.
Phenomenal.
My favorite.
We loved it.
Yes.
There was so many moments that I felt like Hillsong and Theranos had so much in common.
I know.
There was so much in common. Because
the tight people
who
are in charge and run the thing were the people who knew. But they chose to know and not do anything about it. What's the difference?
I would say I agree with you, which is why I say that's the similarities between them, is that instead of the church being ran like a church, it's being run like an organization.
Yeah, or business.
A business. And so churches that are ran like businesses tend to have so many issues.
Yeah. Yes.
They have vision, they have mission, but I feel like the only thing that's important to them is money.
Money.
Which is sad because
it's so sad.
When the goal is...
Because the mission is money, not the people.
That's good.
That's what it turns into.
There's a phrase that I've been saying quite a bit, and I want it to be a mantra of mine, which is, we don't want people to be a means. We want people to be the end. Yeah. Like, what I mean by that is our goal in life should always be to reach people and to help their lives become better and to lead them to Jesus, but not use them for a mission that's unattainable, where at the end, all we did was push people in a direction we never reached.
Yeah.
And so people feel used and people feel taken advantage, that we took advantage of them, and that they weren't really important. And I think I've met a lot of people who really didn't feel important to the church.
Yeah.
When the church is meant for people.
Right.
Or any good organization or business should be to serve people. Right.
Which is crazy because that was kind of the whole point of Theranos, right? Is the reason she started it was because she hated giving blood, and she knew other people also hated giving blood.
Right.
Like, we're afraid of it. And so the thought in her mind was, this is going to help people. But in the end, she really hurt people rather than help them, because money became the mission instead of the people.